simple way. We start with a foundation chain. Then we add double crochets into each stitches of the foundation chain. Then we obtain a sort of U shape by doing these two steps. We add sort of U shape in the end. And 30 stitches for the left side of the U shape, 30 stitches for the right side of the U shape, and 20 stitches for the sleeve part, sleeve gap. And in the end, we obtain this U shape for the sleeve part of our vest. Then we add more rows by keeping this U shape. We continue to add more and more rows until we satisfy with the size of the U shape. Then we fold this U shape, and after folding, you see the edges here. These are the edges of the U shape. We sew them together with a slip stitch by using slip stitch technique. And by making the corners of the U shape, I mean these corners, we always apply 2 chains for creating the corners. Just like in the granny square motif, we apply these 2 chain gaps in order to obtain proper shape of a corner. Then we fold our shape, this U shape, and after folding this U shape, you see that you will obtain a sort of L shape. This is not a proper L, but a sort of, let's say, this is a sort of L shape. Then, after obtaining this L shape, you repeat the same pattern and you obtain a second U shape. By saying the U shape, I mean this total shape, total look in the end. Then you fold it and repeat the same pattern and repeat the same steps. Then you obtain this time the right part, the right side of the vest. And in the end, you obtain this proper shape of a vest. This time, after obtaining this latest shape, you add more double crochets in the middle part in order to fix it according to your target size, or we may say that according to your body size. You can try on and you can arrange it according to your target size by adding more double crochets. These are double crochets, let's say, because I used double crochet by making this vest. Okay, then you add double crochets in the middle part as much as you like. Then it's time to arrange length of the vest according to your body size, of course, again. And this time you want to start to add more rows in the end, to the end of your vest. And you can add more rows as much as you like until you obtain a proper length of a vest according to your desire. Then it's time to design it. There comes designing parts afterwards. For instance, in my vest, I add some motifs to the borders. The motifs was granny motifs. I add 3 or 4 rows granny motifs to the borders. And for the neck parts, I crochet stitches, but in different colors. This is a continuous apply. This is a continuous motif. So I applied continuously without breaking the yarn. Then I applied just differently. What I did differently is applying single stitches, single crochet stitches for the neck part. Okay, if you like, you may add a hoodie if you use a hoodie too much. But I left my vest just like so. I didn't prefer to add a hoodie this time. Okay, enough of talk. Let's start our very simple pattern of a vest. And this U shape is like a base pattern. By using this U shape, you may create a cardigan. If you add longer sleeves to these parts, you may add a cardigan. You may obtain a cardigan. Or if you sew all the parts together, I mean the middle part, you may sew this part with a slip stitch and back panel, also back panel and the front panel. You may sew these two panels together in order to obtain a proper sweatshirt. And you can add, of course, longer sleeves or even a hoodie, like I said. Okay, I mean, this is very simple and basic pattern. It is very handy in order to create more models, more clothes for yourself, especially in the summertime, or with a different sort of yarn for the winter season. Let's start our vest. I talk too much, okay.
Let's start with our foundation chain. In my original project, I used cotton yarns. They were leftover yarns. So in your projects, I recommend you to use cotton yarns for the summer season. Let's start with a foundation chain. Okay, as you remember, in our original project, we should 30 chains. We should chain 30 stitches for the left part, 30 stitches for the right part, and 20 stitches in between. But this will be a smaller sample in order to show you how to crochet this U shape. Therefore, I prefer to chain 5 stitches, 5 loops for the right part, 5 loops for the left part, and 3 loops in the middle. This will be a little mini sample. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we use a stitch marker and we continue for the mid part. 1, 2, 3 chains. This will be 20 chains in the original vest. And I need one more stitch marker. So Yes, I found some. Okay. I put this here. Then I continue with 5 chains again. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This will be our U shape. Okay, let's continue with the second row. Make 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over and make a double crochet. Yarn over, make a double crochet all the way long. Now we are at the corner because our stitch marker, you see, we are in the middle part, so we should create a corner at this point. You want to make 2 chains here, yarn over, and into the same stitch make a double crochet. Okay, this is our corner, and we continue with double crochet. Okay, now we are at the stitch marker. Okay, now we are at the other corner, and at this point, after making a double crochet into this marked stitch, you want to make 2 chains, yarn over, and make a second double crochet into the same stitch, into the same space. Okay, so we create our second corner and we continue with double crochet. Okay, this was the end, I guess. This was the last stitch. No, we have one more. remember we start with 5 stitches, so double check your stitches by counting them. Now I can take my markers back. Okay, you see this little U shape. Now it is easier to apply double crochets. Just continue with 3 chains in the second row. Now yarn over and right into this V stitch, this top stitch of the double crochet. Insert your hook in there, that V stitch at the top. Yarn over again, continue with applying double crochet into the same stitch. Yarn over again, apply the same space, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through too. Okay, I continue till the corner. Now I'm at the corner. At the corner, you yarn over and apply this time two stitches in the corner gap. 2 double crochets. Yarn over and apply 1 double crochet. Yarn over and apply second double crochet next to each other. Now at this point make 2 chains, because we always make 2 chains at the corners. Yarn over again into the same gap, apply 2 more double crochets. This is the first and this is the second double crochet. Then continue with the regular double crochet after creating your corner. See, you create your second corner gap and continue like so. Now it's time to create the second corner. I'm at the second corner now. Yarn over, make 2 double crochets into the corner gap. Make 2 chains afterwards and add 2 more double crochets next to each other in order to create a proper corner gap. Then continue with the same pattern, I mean the regular double crochets stitches. Okay, this is our pattern. I continue applying the same thing over and over until I'm satisfied with the length of the sleeve, left part or right part. And after finishing this, I continue with the second part. I repeat the same pattern for the second time, and I'll obtain my second U shape. Then we sew them together with you. And don't forget, make 2 double crochets into each gap at the corners, and don't forget making 2 chains in between the double crochets. Now we are done. We complete 2 parts of the U shapes. Regardless of how many stitches you are dealing with, it is always the same process that you will apply. I mean, in the corners, you should have 2 chains in between to create the corner gap, this gap. And you should apply 2 double crochets into the same gap, then chain 2, then apply 2 double crochets into the same gap again, into the same space. So you will have 4 double crochets in the corner gap and 2 chains in between the double crochet groups. That's all. It doesn't matter how many stitches, as I mentioned before, it doesn't matter how many stitches you are dealing with, because you see it is originally 80 stitches we have in our original foundation chain. 30 stitches for the left part, so 30 stitches for the this middle part, I mean this starting part. 30 stitches we will have for the right part, 30 stitches for the left part, and 20 stitches we will have in the middle. So we continue with the sewing part. I told you before that we can use slip stitch for the sewing, but it seems that's not possible with this stitches because these are the chain. These are not the chains. These are the posts that you will obtain, and it is not okay. It is not easy to insert your hook into the posts, so we will apply, I guess, single crochet for sewing instead of slip stitch. So let's start with this part. I finished my last post and I made a chain, additional chain. Now I start with slip stitch, single crochet. This is our second single crochet. You may apply 1 single crochet for each gap of the posts, but if you like more than 1, you may apply. Don't forget the edges. Okay. You can hide this . and turn the right part, right side. So this is our joining stitch. It is a single crochet. Okay, you see, this is the right part of our mini vest. This will be the left part. We apply the same technique for sewing them together. I handled somehow our little problem. It is always much harder to work with small samples instead of bigger ones. It's always hard with working with small samples because it is more fragile. You should be more careful always. In a scientific research, it is always hard to work with small sample. Okay. Sometimes stitches are too tight to work with, but we somehow handle that problems too. Now the second part, second sleeve is done. As you see, we obtain a proper vest shape. Okay. Now it's time to sew them together, but before that doing so, we should add more rows to the back panel because we need some space for fixing it according to our body size. So I start with a different color. I will add more double crochets into each gap of the back panel. Okay, this is the first stitch that I can see, and it means that we start by using that stitch. chain 3, yarn over, make a double crochet, into each stitch, yarn over, make a double crochet, yarn over, make a double crochet. You see I hide this excess yarn as I go. At this point I want to make it longer, the length. Therefore I will continue this stitch till here. By doing so, I will expand the width as well as I expand the length at the same time. I applied just one double crochet, make 2 chain and 1 double crochet to the next into the same gap, and I continue like so. Some little complications. We should be always careful. We should keep our tension loose during crocheting. Double checks are important, crucial. Don't worry if you don't get a satisfying result at the first time. You'll get used to eventually. Be sure of that. Believe in that. Because this is like driving a car or riding a bicycle. You'll get used to eventually. Okay. As you see, we expand the width and the length at the same time. Now you can add more colors by using the double crochet stitch as much as you like. How many colors, it's not important how many colors you would like to use. It is your design, it is your desire, but I think it is okay for me for this small sample. But in my original vest, you should have seen that more colors. I added more than 3 or 4 colors into the middle part and the length, and it looks very beautiful, nice and fancy in that way. It is getting beautiful how many as much as you add more colors, and it's not important how many colors you add, just add more colors, but be careful that they're harmonious together. Then you will you will obtain in the end a beautiful masterpiece. Yes, it is your masterpiece. So I will cut my yarn at this point because I want to continue with the other side, other parts. Make 2 chains in order to secure this one, and cut your yarn accordingly. Okay. You can hide this excess redundant yarn by using your hook or a tapestry needle, whichever you like. You see, there are not rules. There are not solid rules that you obey. It is just your creation, just your way. You may use freestyle if you like. You just can make some knots here and cut your yarn. It's up to you, totally up to you. You don't have to obey the rules. Just listen your inner voice and do some freestyle job. You can get more beautiful results in that way. Be sure of that. This is a hobby in the end. It serves you in a positive way. You should be happy about that. Okay, now I add beige cream color to the other part of our little waist, and I continue with this one. I apply the same thing. I make a couple of knots here, the first double crochet, then I continue with double crochet continuously till here, till this edge, and I cut my yarn at that point. In this way they will be equal. Okay, 2 parts of our vest is done. 2 parts are done at the moment. Now I'll sew them together by using slip stitch technique. You just make a sandwich with them and start with the first double crochet. This is our first double crochet. Just join them together by using slip knot. You can be more careful in our original projects at this step. Maybe you want to use these first V stitches instead of slip knot at this point. It's okay both way, don't worry about that. Now it's time to slip stitch. Just insert your hook into this loop of the V stitch and use the other one, this one, I mean this is the right one, and yarn over, pull up a loop and continue with the second one, and make a slip stitch. Use the left one of the V stitch which looks towards you, and pull the other one, insert your hook and make a slip stitch. Continue like so till the end, all the way across. Okay. And make a single crochet at this point. Okay. We can hide this excess yarn and this one later. Okay. See, this is almost invisible. You see? We used a beige yarn, but it doesn't even emerge. You see? This is a very nice stitch for sewing. Okay, now I want to continue with the length. I will add more rows to the end of the sleeve. It is more clear now, I guess. I will use different color at this point. This orange will be cool, I guess. In my original vest, I also used this orange color. This is a leftover yarn from my original project. Okay. Grab your hook and find the first V-stitch of your double crochets and connect your yarn like so. This is a way in order to secure your first stitch, your first loop. Okay, after a couple of knots you can hide this one as you go. 3 chains, because we will continue with double crochet. we apply the same stitch. Okay. Use this top V stitches to apply your double crochets. This yarn is a little problematic, but we will be okay anyway. Now I'm at the intersection point. It's longer now, and we want to continue to make it longer with this color this time. This is also the yarn which I used in the original project. Okay, we can add our yarn. Now I will continue with single crochet for the borders in order to secure the borders, and also for the sleeves. In my original project, I added 3 or 4 rows single crochet in order to secure the sleeves, because in order to prevent any loosening in the future, because you know crochet work gets loose by the time. Now after I complete my single crochets, I will meet you here. You see, it's done, our little project, our little waist. It is very beautiful and very simple, as you saw. And as I mentioned before, for the sleeve parts, you can also add single crochets, a couple of rows here and here, in order to secure the sleeves as well. But for this mini project, I don't need that. So single crochet for the borders is okay for me. For this project is enough. That's it. Okay, you can obtain a bigger one from this project by starting with a foundation chain of 80. You need 80 stitches in total in order to obtain a proper standard size of this vest. Or for a cardigan, you see, if you add sleeves, longer sleeves, this will be a cardigan. This would be a cardigan. Or if you like, just sew 2 parts like so and obtain a sweatshirt or a blouse, or even you can add a hoodie here. That will work as well. So if you like my videos, if you like my tutorials, please don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you on my next video. Stay safe.